So let's talk about the Arthur Smith thing. He got fired. Like that coach got fired on midnight. Like that's a crazy thing to me. So the sequence of events that led to Arthur Smith being fired are him only winning 7 games 3 years in a row. The Falcons, who will now pick 8th overall, make sure to subscribe to With the First Pick podcast to get all your draft details. The Ryan Wilson and Rick Spielman, fantastic CBS Sports podcast as about the NFL draft. They're going to pick 8th overall for the 3rd straight year. They drafted Kyle Pitts, 4th overall, I believe, right after Jamar Chase, right? Or maybe Jamar Chase was there. Then the last 2 years, they take Drake London and Bijan Robinson. The offense stinks. They go on with Desmond Ridder. There's a bunch of back and forth with Arthur Smith throughout the season about whether the quarterback situation, and then everything culminates with the Falcons getting blown out by the Saints. You lose it. Don't even have a chance to win the division to make to be a wild card in this division, this terrible division. And to make matters worse, at the end of this game, Dennis Allen, after where the damn button is.
Pull up your pants.
I play the right one. I don't know. After a Tyrann Mathieu interception down to the 1 yard line, Dennis Allen calls for a knee. Jameis Winston overrules the coach. They decide to hand the ball to Jamal Williams to get him his only touchdown of the season. Arthur Smith freaks out publicly. It's a huge deal. And so at midnight on the dot on Black Monday, gets fired by the Atlanta Falcons. On a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised were you, Breach, of the – or Wilson, I guess we'll go to you because we haven't said what's up to you. How surprised were you of the actual timing of the firing?
I mean, 0. I think why wait till tomorrow? I mean, Ron Rivera said he's going to talk to the owner tomorrow, and we'd probably know what's going to happen. And I was thinking when he said that,
I wonder if tomorrow today.
I wonder if he just wants to walk in there right now and say, all right, what are we doing? So I can have a good night's sleep either way. So I'm not surprised. I mean, it was a matter of time. They wholly underachieved. You talk about the draft picks they had that did not come close to working out. Desmond Ridder has not worked out. I don't know if a new coaching staff will be able to fix Desmond Ridder, but they have a ton of issues. And why wait? That would be my first question.
I am a 1. I do think it's surprising it was at midnight. I feel like this is something you could have done a couple hours after the game, maybe at 8 p.m. or just hold it off until Monday. We kind of saw this with Brandon Staley where everyone thought he was going to be fired. And then you went to bed and you're like, man, he didn't get fired yet. Is he actually going to get fired? And the next morning they make him go into the office at 8 a.m. Pacific time to get fired. Like, if you're going to fire me, at least let me sleep in. So at least Arthur Smith knows this beforehand. And look, the writing has been on the wall here ever since Arthur Blank did that interview a few weeks ago where, hey, do you want to give Arthur Smith a vote of confidence here? And he basically was like, yeah, we're going to see how the season plays out. There's no vote of confidence. If it doesn't end the way I want it to end, he is probably not going to stick around. And losing 4 of their last 5 games is definitely not how Arthur Blank wanted to see this end. I mean, yes, this team finished 7-10, but it is crazy to think about that they were 6-6. I mean, they were in the thick of it in the AFC South. They could have won it had things gone their way in week 18. Obviously, they didn't because they got blown out. And I think it was pretty clear when he walked off the field. Brinson, you mentioned the situation that led this, but when he walked off the field, dropped an F-bomb and yelled at everyone in front of him, it was pretty clear that that was going to be the last thing he ever did because you're on the hot seat. That's just a man who exploding. The final straw of the camel's back. You're done. Bye. That was it.
I also think, too, that whole thing, it was really, I mean, look, like Jameis screwed Dennis Allen over, and Dennis Allen ends up looking like the idiot in all this because he's getting overruled by his backup quarterback and the entire team on the field, like with no time left. But behaving that way at the end of the game, I think exacerbated the timeline and made Arthur Blank decide, because Arthur Blank, he friend of the podcast, Arthur Blank. He's been on the Pick Six podcast at the Miami Super Bowl, but you know, he that's not the sort of thing that I can see him appreciating. I don't think anybody would appreciate that. Like, he was fiery and all that, but you're being a jerk at midfield after an embarrassing 48-17 loss. You know, your 4 of your 5 losses, you beat the Colts in week 16, but to close the season, you lose to the Bucks, Panthers, Bears and Saints. I mean, you get reverse swept on your way out the door in the division. Now, granted, just one of the games was at home, but like to lose 3 division games in your final 5 games and then have that ugly thing. It's just the whole thing is just a bad look, and not surprised at all that he's fired. I do think the timing was just interesting to fire him at midnight on the nose and just get it done with. But sure, I mean, it was coming. One thing to note on the Arthur Smith firing, and I tweeted this out. I just thought it was kind of interesting, but the Falcons in their press release said the search for a new head coach of the Falcons will begin immediately. It will be led by Arthur Blank, obviously, and Rich McKay, who, by the way, you might gonna like maybe ask Rich McKay if he's accountable for the Falcons not being good at all. Anybody? Nope. Okay. With input from Falcons general manager Terry Fontenot and several other appropriate members of Blank's Atlanta Falcons and AMB Sports and Entertainment organizations, the fact that Terry Fontenot, the GM, only gets to provide input on the hiring of the coach, I think is at least interesting. That to me says that he is on a little bit maybe thin ice, and potentially if like Jim Harbaugh was interested in coming to Atlanta, they could, or Bill Belichick was interested in coming to Atlanta. Terry Fontenot is not an obstacle to hiring a big name head coach who wants personnel power.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Falcons swing and miss with Arthur Smith. They thought they were getting a great offensive guy. And the interesting thing is, if you look at the beginning, the last few coaching hires, go back to Mike Smith, his first 3 years, him and Matt Ryan went to the playoffs together in 2008, first year head coach, rookie quarterback, which is what we're seeing this year with DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud. So, and that's a rare thing to do that, to have a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback make it to the playoffs together. And then they hired Dan Quinn. The early years of that was a home run. He made the Super Bowl in his first 3 seasons with the team. And so this just felt like something where I think Arthur Blank was like, all right, we got to cut ship. This is what I'm used to. And smart business guys, they can cut bait. They realize that, hey, look, maybe Arthur Smith can work out somewhere else, but this is not the team where this is going to work. So I'll be interested to see what they do going forward. Wilson, who do you think they're going to hire?
My first thought was, please don't let the Steelers hire Arthur Smith to be the offensive coordinator. So I haven't gotten that far down the road, but I do give Arthur Blank credit to basically what you're saying. I mean, cut bait. If it's not working, move on. And I think that's the right decision. And I don't know. I think Arthur Smith has a legitimate complaint about yelling at Dennis Allen in the middle of the field, but I don't know if that's why he got fired. And that was just a culmination of what felt like a season-long worth of frustration, given how poorly that offense had played. And Desmond Ridder should probably write him an apology, for the way he played that final game. But that's a conversation for another time.